Something I've realized over these last 3 or 4 years, especially since being in the workforce, is that people get weird and hostile when you begin talking about certain things, especially when the things you want to talk about are going against institutions or the systems that they're so dependent on. And I was recently reminded of this when reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Nietzsche. So in that book, Zarathustra is this prophet of sorts. He's been living on top of a mountain for like 10 years. And in his solitude, he's gained a lot of knowledge and insights about reality itself. So he decides, you know what? I want to share my knowledge. I want to raise awareness. And he decides, you know what? I'm going down the mountain. I'm going to speak some truth to all these people. But when he gets into the nearby village and he begins preaching, people just laugh at him. They mock him. And pretty soon they're just not even paying attention to him. So here's this guy who's trying to talk about certain deeper issues within humanity, within the human psyche, you could say. And people are just saying, yeah, whatever, man. We're not interested. We don't want to pay attention. And then in that book, they turn all their attention to watching some guy walk across a tightrope from building to building. They're like, oh yeah, look at that. Wow, so cool. And what that part of the book is symbolic for the mindless entertainment and distractions that we use ourselves even in modern times. By and large, people would rather mindlessly distract themselves. They'd rather mindlessly consume endless brain rot content than actually learn something or try something or broaden their perspectives and gain awareness as to why they believe the things they believe in and why they do the things that they do. Nietzsche talks about this idea called the Übermensch, and the Übermensch is translated to Superman in English. What this is somebody who essentially creates their own values, somebody who creates their own mission, somebody who has this higher purpose that comes internally rather than by their religion or by their culture or by society as a whole. There's somebody who is high agency, somebody who takes responsibility for their life and doesn't rely on other people to tell them what to do. And in that book, like I mentioned, nobody wants to pay attention to the main character, Zarathustra. They're like, yeah, you're insane, dude. Like, we just want to keep doing the same thing we've been doing because that's comfortable and convenient and simple. Life is so much better that way. But Nietzsche argues that no, life is not better that way. Life is better when you take some responsibility and, like I said, you create your own values, you create your own mission, you create your own purpose and means of living in alignment with who you truly authentically are internally. But that way of living, embodying the Übermensch, that's hard. That is challenging. That's uncertain. And I get it. People prefer predictability and safety and security and distraction over a difficult yet meaningful pursuit. Taking on responsibility and thinking critically and trying to assess who you really are deep down is scary. It's unknown. And if you spend all your time and energy doing that, you might not get any immediate reward where if you follow society's scripts, if you follow what your religion or your family, your culture tells you to do, then yeah, you'll have the safe path, so to speak, but that'll lead to unfulfillment and envy and perhaps even resentment for people who do go against the grain. I believe that if everybody decided to embody the Übermensch and become their highest version of themselves, the most psychologically developed, you could say, then the world would be a much better place. However, it would mean many institutions and systems collapse because we as a society, by and large, we're very dependent on certain systems for our food, our entertainment, our beliefs, our values, our morals, and so many other things that we've been so dependent on systems for generations that many people don't even really know who they are. Many people don't even know what they stand for and what is true to them. But I truly believe that anybody can begin to embody this within their own life. And you don't need to be some mystical genius like Nietzsche was portraying Zarathustra to be. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be the best looking. None of that. Anybody can do it. But it takes a willingness to step back from the noise, gain clarity on who you really are internally, and figure out what your true and authentic purpose is within this reality. 2026 is a very interesting time because I think we're at a turning point in human history. I think there's some sort of a psychological or spiritual revolution happening where more people are realizing that the system's rigged and they're fed up with groupthink and they're fed up with institutional injustices and they're fed up with the lies of our leaders that people are having deeper conversations. People are becoming more aware of the chaos that's happening and beginning to realize that the only way out is to take some responsibility. Now, of course, this is the minority. Many people would rather keep their head in the sand and just ignore all the problems going on within the world. Many people would rather not face the fact that they have issues going on within them that need to be fixed and just continue to point the finger outward at others. And that's fine. But I encourage you to have these conversations with other people who are willing to listen. I encourage you to examine your own values and your own beliefs and try to understand your deeper purpose within this reality. Because in doing so, yeah, it'll be terrifying. It'll be scary. It'll be uncertain because these are things that perhaps nobody ever taught you to do. But, like I said, in doing so, you'll gain a lot of clarity on who you really are. And that's invaluable, especially in a world where most people want to blend in with others just to not stand out. If you could become somebody who lives in alignment with who you really are, and if you could become somebody who defines your own values and beliefs and your own perspectives on the world rather than somebody who just inherits them from society and all the structures going on around you, then you'll inspire other people. You really will. I know that sounds cliche and like, oh, happy go jolly, but no. If other people see you're living authentically, you're becoming your best self, your most psychologically developed self, then they'll realize, wow, yeah, we're living in a crazy world, but I can do the same thing. Many people will think you're crazy. Many people will laugh. Many people will mock you for trying to create your own purpose in this life because, well, life is simpler if you can just put the blinders on. If you can just mindlessly distract yourself with short form content and immediately gratifying things. But that is a soulless existence. That is a life that I personally do not want to live. And if you're still watching this video at this point, then it's a lifestyle that you don't want to live either. A society of people who can think deeply, think critically, act on their own accord, create their own values, and create their own beliefs is a very unique thought experiment. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is something that we'll ever get to experience, especially in our lifetimes. But like I said, do your part. Take some responsibility for where you're at rather than pointing the finger outward. Because yeah, life is crazy, the system's rigged, politicians lie, yada, yada, yada. I get it. Figure out what you gotta figure out, gain clarity on who you really are, and inspire other people to do the exact same thing. Make the world a better place. Why not? What else do you have to lose? So, anyways, yeah, hope this makes sense. Bit of a rant here, but thank you for watching. I'll speak to you soon.